It's a 1957 Chevy two-door hardtop Bel Air. I brought the car home in pieces. I got it in 1999. I have about 2 years in it. The paint on the car is actually 14 years old. But you know, sometimes we have it out 2-3 times a week. We drive the car. It goes as far as Ocean City, Maryland. We drive it down there. We do car shows around here. The car was in total pieces, and half of them were missing. It's great primer. This Bel Air here was actually special ordered. The third number on my serial number to the car is a 6. And Bel Airs didn't come with 6s, but the guy who bought this brand new ordered it with a 6 on it. And I now have a ZZ4 motor in it. It's a 385 with a fast burn aluminum heads. And the car does well. Runs good, runs strong. So it's you know, everybody can relate to it. Their dad had one, their uncle had one. This is the first one I ever drove. And a lot of guys that have these cars have gray hair now. That's when we can afford them. And it's a dream, you know, it really is. And I like the car because so many people relate. You know, I could have did a Camaro or Mustang, Chevelle or whatever, but 57 Chevy, everybody can relate to it. You know, it puts a smile on people's face. When you start this car up, you can hear it, you know, from the 50s. You know, it just throws you back into the time.
It's a 1926 Ford Model T. T stands for tall. No chopped, original. The only thing that's fiberglass is the fenders, of course. I bought it basically like it is because I don't have the knowledge or the money to build it. And unfortunately last year the barn roof fell on it. Smashed the whole front end, smashed the top, but it took about 9 months to get her back, and now she's on the move, running good. It's been modified. It's got a Chevy motor. I like I said, I did not build it, or else I had to put Ford motor in there, but somebody stuck an old 327 in there, and she's plenty of power for that little car. I don't have loud mufflers on it or anything. I want people to, you know, see me more than hear me, I should say, I guess. 32 Ford Coupe, 3-window. It's got a 396 Chevy engine in it, 4-speed transmission, 9-inch Ford rear, drop front axle. It's a fun machine. You just got to respect it, or else it's going to get you in trouble. I'm from Pottstown. I come up here camping and found out about this show, so I brought the car up to the campsite and doing a little both this weekend, camping and having fun with the rest of the street riders.
It's a 55 Studebaker pickup truck, 3/4 ton. I bought it with 48,000 miles in 1973, restored it in 1980, and it's been basically did some tweaking to it over the years. It has a Ford rear end in it for highway use, and I put a Chevy automatic, although the factory automatic, it was a factory automatic truck with a V8, and that was the first for, in 55 was the first for Studebaker to do that. I also had the 53 pickup that my dad bought new, and our family from Lidditz, we have about 18 currently restored Studebakers. My dad actually started us off. His first Studebaker was in 1917, and his brothers all had Studebakers, and It's kind of a standing joke in the Lidditz area. If someone sees you in a Studebaker, they automatically say you must be a Grube. Just out of high school, I was looking for, at that time they were trying to do anything to promote the car, and they came out with the Avanti in '63 and '64. They had superchargers on them, and so they decided to offer them in any other car that they offered, in Larks, station wagons, whatever. The Avanti package, so to speak. I heard about this just being out of high school, and I went up to Lebanon to Smith Motors. I had one back in the hole, he said, so I'll show it to you. So he took me back there, and it was a top-of-the-line model, a hardtop, bucket seats, 4-speed, Avanti engine. It didn't have the supercharger, and I ended up buying that. I had that for 10 years. I had it over in Hawaii with me in the Navy. I restored it in '71. After 3 kids, I sold it for $1,500, and the guy still has it in Lidditz, and I bug him every day to buy it.
Go buy it back.
No ways.
I've owned the car 46 years now. I bought it when I was almost 20 and spent 36 years until I got it in this condition. And this is my 10th cruising season, and about 1,800 hours of labor went into it. Did almost everything myself except the blue paint. After all that time working on it, it's fun to finally be able to drive it. In 1969 and 70, I worked on it pretty strong. I got it running. Then I built a house, raised a family. Every year I would work on it, straightening trim and gathering pieces. So I was working on it all along, but in '98 I got real serious about redoing it completely. It's a 1940 Chevy. It's a Special Deluxe business coupe, which means it never had a back seat. Just has a business shelf in the back where the gas tank is underneath to differentiate it from the Sport Coupe, which had a back seat. The engine I pulled out of a work van, a Chevy work van, so it's a 4-bolt main. It's been bored 30 over with TRW pistons, Edelbrock cam intake. So it has a little more power than it used to. Car cruising is real popular in this area. I can't explain why, but there's car cruises every weekend. You have about 15 to 20 to choose from within a 50-mile radius.
The car is Packard. It's a 1948 Touring Sedan Deluxe. I spent quite a few years building it back up, but the car was in excellent shape when I found it. It belonged to a doctor. Rebuilt almost every component in the car. The engine is a 288 8-cylinder, flathead 8, straight 8. It is the smallest one that Packard made. The car, even though it's a large car, is the smallest model they made. This is only 120-inch wheelbase, where the larger one would be 127-inch wheelbase. This car was completely painted with the same colors that were on the color chart for 1948 on the Packard. Actually, I've had it over 10 years, but I didn't get started on it because I do this kind of work. I don't have a lot of time for myself. I've got also a 48 Plymouth Club Coupe that I've had for years and years. Being a person that builds cars all the time, what I like are cars that were extremely well taken care of, or maybe put in a garage and forgotten about it, so the mileage was low and they were in good shape. I didn't have to go through a lot to put them together.
This is a 1967 Thunderbird Apollo. It is built for Abercrombie & Fitch. It was one of 5 built, and they were put into their store as a display item. Once it was done with their display, they were sold to somebody in the general public. This went to a Poland Ellie in the Chicago area. He was a Ford executive. At that point, it was sold to him for $15,000. As I say, this was the Chicago store car. It is 100% complete. It is original. It is unrestored except for the paint, which is over 30 years old. Everything is here. down to the tacky little lights in the back seat. When they were built, they were done exactly the same. Everything was done so that no store was slighted on anything in the appearance. One car was different. It had a 390 motor. All the others had 428s. This is the 390 motor car. This is in the top 5 of all Thunderbirds at being the rarest. My brother-in-law bought this at a Cruise auto auction in Auburn, Indiana in 1989. He brought it back to Lancaster, Pennsylvania and drove it on nice days for a couple of years and then left it set in his garage for approximately 14 years. I asked him about selling it to me and he said it had 4 flat tires, a rusty gas tank and a dead battery. At that point, he said you could have the car. So I took possession of it in 2004. And after a lot of work, meaning mechanical work to make it roadworthy and a lot of detailing, I started showing it in 2005. Since I've been showing it, I'd say over 30,000 people have seen this car. And before that, nobody knew really what a Thunderbird Apollo was. But it is a Ford sanctioned car, meaning that it is not a customized car. It is a conversion car. It is done before market, meaning before titleship, not after title. It was at Ford Carlisle this year because it was the 60th anniversary of Thunderbirds on special invitation. It was there in 2005 on special invitation for the 50th anniversary. Last year it won its first Juniors Award at Hershey, which is a national award. I'm taking it to Hershey this year, trying for a Seniors Award. It is also scheduled to go to Hemmings Motor News Concours of Laganza, which is in New York. So it is an award-winning car. Yeah, I do live in Bowmansville, and I tell people, all these cars here are rare and unusual. They are. Because the owners own them for a reason, and it is because of the unusual car for their liking. I just happen to own a rare car from the manufacturer. It is different, but they're all rare and unusual, so I tell people, go out and enjoy them. Just don't enjoy this car for what it is, enjoy them all, because that's what they are. And I truly believe that.